Yo, 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 what's up with it, party people and the place to be? You are now tuned in to the number one media source for BBW, SSBBW, and plus size women, Treat TV Radio. Yay, yay! Party people and the place to be, I got a fabulous interview right now with Curvy Beth. Welcome, Curvy Beth, to the show. How you doing, Miss Curvy Beth?
I'm doing great, Kenneth. How are you today?
I'm doing excelente. Yay, yay! What's up with it, party people? Go on and load up in the room right now. Shout out to Nakia Lewis, Cedric Jackson. What's up with you? You know, they came to see this curviness. They got Curvy Beth on the line. This is plus size model Curvy Beth, live and direct right here on Treat TV Radio, ladies and gentlemen. Yay, yay. So what's up? How you doing, Miss Curvy Beth?
I'm doing great, Kenneth. But I want to say that on Instagram, my IG name is Curvy Girl Beth.
Curvy Girl Beth. I'm over here getting it wrong, huh? Them curves got me delirious. So it's Curvy Girl Beth. Yes, we got it here across the screen. I know you can't really see it from your end because the only thing you see is the live video feed. But what people are seeing on the top of the screen is follow Beth on Instagram at Curvy Girl Beth. So yeah, they got all the correct information up there. That's the correct information up top, ladies and gentlemen. Curvy Girl Beth on Instagram. So yeah, let's get right down into this interview, Miss Curvy Girl Beth. Yay, yay. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, Curvy Beth. What you got going on out there in the plus size modeling world?
So I'm out there doing a bit of plus size modeling, and I am really kind of a little bit focused on advocating for an actual disorder. It's actually a fat disorder, believe it or not. It gives me this luscious shape. It's called lipedema, like lipid, like fat, Lipedema, for edema, like as in swelling. So essentially, this is a disease that was discovered, well, who knows when it really was discovered, but there's information back to the 1940s about it, and it's been a very undiagnosed, misdiagnosed disorder that kind of gives this curvy shape because typically, although it can appear anywhere in the body, typically it appears from the waist down. So when you see the classic small waist, you know, rounded hips, thick legs, people have thick calves and even the thick ankles. That's likely somebody, and then also the thick upper arms, or even maybe sometimes you see people that have that little cuff. You know, it looks like they're wearing a sleeve where their arm is a little bit swollen. Yes. That person likely may have this lipedema disorder. And so I personally learned about it 2 years ago, and it was a life changer, a game changer for me, because my whole life, it's not something that responds to diet and exercise, because it doesn't go away. And so people like myself have been, you know, their whole lives battling with you know, diets and exercise and what can they do to change, with lots of effort, but really not so much result. I actually used to be an SSBBW myself, and I did lose, well, I ultimately lost 200 pounds, and since then I have maintained you know, 150 pound loss, but right now I'm up an official 50 pounds from my lowest place that I was at, and but oddly enough, contrary to popular society, I am probably the happiest that I've ever been and feel the most comfortable and at ease with my body right now, and it's because I am just loving I'm loving the curves. I am loving how it looks. I'm loving how it feels, and really, you know, still constantly making sure that you know, eating what's right for my body, and keeping movement going, because we all need that, right? Our bodies were not meant for the way we live in today's society. They were meant to move. And so people, driving in, especially here in LA, people driving in cars and sitting at desks and all that. We weren't meant to do all of that. So I try to make it a point to get in my planned exercise, so that I can just keep things moving. It's not about losing weight or looking different or whatever, because I now know with this body that the exercise is never going to do that for me. So that's kind of a little short nutshell.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you more in depth about this disorder,
Mhm.
lipedema. Does it makes your weight fluctuate? Because I remember you said you were
It
200
does.
pounds
So
more luscious than you are right now. I don't like to use
yeah,
the words heavier or so that's why I said more luscious. So and then
yeah,
you
that
said you
was more luscious for sure.
oh, okay. And so this
Still had the small waist and the you know
super curvy.
it's
Yeah,
just
I remember you telling me like when we were first talking about this behind the scenes, and you were telling me that a lot of women suffer from lipedema. Am I pronouncing it right? Lipedema,
yeah.
right?
Yes, you
Okay.
are. Yes. Um, you know, yeah, it is. Right now, about 11% of the population in the United States
Hmm.
um, have this disorder that are diagnosed with it. But there are actually very few medical professionals who actually even know what this is. There is another disease called lymphedema, which is your lymph system. And once a person, might try to go seek out medical um, confirmation or assistance or whatever, and they go into the office because they've heard about this on the internet or they know somebody has it or whatever, and they go to get themselves checked out. They go to, just a regular doctor. The doctor's like, oh, you mean lymphedema? And so then it gets misdiagnosed again. And that's a whole different thing. Actually, a lot of people, it's not uncommon for people to have both, because once what happens is this additional fat that is actually diseased, it it affects the lymphatic system because it kind of strangles the lymphatic system, so it doesn't make it flow like it normally does. So it creates a lot of swelling. The typical. It seems to be a hormonal. It seems to be hereditary. They're doing all kinds of studies on it now. It seems to be hereditary and it seems to be hormonal, and so often it has the onset at puberty or at pregnancy or at menopause. Those are typical times where it kind of shows itself, or even stages advanced during those periods. For me personally, I was born with it. My mother was shaped this way. And she struggled, and we never knew. She passed away years ago, but we never knew. And For me, you can, I mean, now in retrospect, I can see like there's even a time when I was a little girl, and you can see my sock, like my little calf was a little thick. Even then, I was normal size, I think, until I was about 6, 7, and then I started, to look a little chubby, and then, when I hit puberty, then I gained, in my lower half, and um, so I was always battling, because I thought this was normal. I thought I come from Italian descent. My mother was Italian, so we thought this is Italian. This is how you're shaped. This is, because you like to eat a bagel for breakfast and pretzels at snack time. I mean, but in all honesty, probably for the majority of my life, I was pretty much like on a diet. I pretty much have always eaten very small portions and usually something nutritious. So for me, it's probably never really been about that.
Hmm.
It's just been um, at least my body, the thing about this disease is everybody has a little bit different experience, and what works for them is a little different. So there's a lot of biohacking that gets involved. And for me, my body does not like carbs. Like I could look at a carb and it's like, oh, okay, let's have it. Let's take it. Let's put it here. And so I kind of get, I can feel, and my body is very responsive. I can feel stuff right away. So if I'm eating that bagel in 20 minutes, my ankles are swollen and I feel it already. So I think for me, at times where I gained weight, or the way that I gained that massive amount of weight, was because I was going out to eat for lunch, probably dinner. I was eating what was on the plate. I certainly always had to have bread that was at the table. And, all that stuff is delicious. It tastes great, right? So who wouldn't want to eat it? Probably in addition, I probably ate more than I should have at that. Like I ate a plate. Well, nobody needs to eat a plate. Our stomachs are like, this is the size of our stomach. Whatever size hand you have is the size of your stomach. So really, when you sit down to eat something, you don't need to eat more than your hand's worth. And so it's kind of interesting. That's really sort of kind of how I eat now. Like I use pretty much a lunch-size plate to eat normally. And that's how I do, that's like what I know that I need for a portion. But that is kind of crazy. People go out to eat with me and they like look at me like, you're eating half of your food? Like, how do you look like that if you're eating half of your food? And so now we know, and to that answer your
there's
question.
so many stereotypes, I'm saying, about plus size women and just their lifestyles and stuff like that. Let me ask you, so what are some of the downfalls to this disorder? Are you in pain 24/7?
So there's a lot of people who are in pain to the touch. Like, you could go up, you go to grab somebody like this and they're like, like they back away. Well, chances are they've got a thick arm. Chances are they're inflamed, and that actually hurts them. They're not trying to be offensive and get away from you, and they might not even know it. I personally am not a person who has pain to the touch, or that I know of, right? So I can go for a massage. I can, you come up to me, you give me a hug, you squeeze my leg, you pinch my butt, whatever. I'm not jumping from that. But I'm also very firm. And that's one of the I didn't know this, but that's one of the disadvantages. I guess you're not really supposed to be firm. I didn't know. I've always been firm. So I guess that also makes it difficult for the systems like your circulation and your lymphatics to actually move. It makes it hard for it to get through and function properly. So there's lots of different techniques that are employed to kind of make sure it stays as soft as possible. If you go to my Instagram, Curvy Girl Beth page, you'll see. I think it's actually up on my stories right now. It looks like it's a black video, but it is me standing on a vibration plate, which is it's a machine. It looks like one of those exercise steps.
AKA the booty machine, fellas.
Booty machine. It is a booty machine, and there are different ways to do that machine. You can lay on it. I have a friend whose gym had one of those, and the women were sitting on it.
Of course they were.
Actually, there's reason for them to sit on it, but
probably was a long line that they wanted to sit
the
on. The
owners realized, hey, wait a minute, all these women are sitting on this thing.
Wow.
But I have to admit that one day I laid on the floor with just my legs on it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a different experience, because I usually stand on it, is how I do it. But in any case, it shakes the body, your whole body, and some people use it for exercise. Like here in LA, there are even exercise classes with this power plate. They almost use it like a step. and it activates different muscles in your body. So people actually use it to as exercise. I use it to move my lymph flow. And that actually shakes things up and really does make things softer. It's kind of interesting. I don't know if you've ever seen people in the hospital where they have those decongestive pumps like on their calves so they don't get a blood clot. It's a machine that kind of makes it just massages the leg. And so that's another modality of treatment. I had those over the summer. I was prescribed that actually, and it was too much for my body to work with. It moves too much flow and kind of gave my heart wasn't too good. So I'm not doing that anymore. People use dry brushing where they get one of the horse hairs. I have the brush. I don't do it yet. I need to start. They brush their body with it's like a horsehair brush, and that makes the lymph flow. There's you can go for massages called manual lymphatic drainage, which is a very, very light touch. I personally, it's not my thing. I'd rather have a real massage. If I'm going to go get a massage, I'd rather have a real massage. Let's see what else. Pool exercise is phenomenal. Even just walking in the water, because the pressure from the water actually acts as that massage. Or I go in the pool and I do like water aerobics, like I just jump, like I jump from one end of the pool to the other, or I run, or I do mountain climbing or bicycling or whatever. And that helps me. I can go in a jacuzzi. Some people can't even go in a jacuzzi because it's too
sensitive to the body, huh?
Yeah, it's too sensitive to the body for them. Let's see. And then, because of this, constant, and then people do have it. So I think that the pain that I have, I do. I'm sure that I have constant pain all day. So, but it's not, I've never been a person to sit down or, stay still. So I always keep moving, even when I was the biggest that I was. I was even, going to Disneyland like that. But it does, it's heavy. It's a lot to carry around. So if you had a plus size girl who was 200 pounds, who did not have lipedema, and you had a girl whose lipedema 200 pounds, probably the lipedema girl looks maybe a little smaller, but it's way heavier. It just is. So when you see like somebody that looks like they have they look like they're a big girl and they have, it looks like they can't walk properly. Well, it affects your gait because you're literally like dragging around like cement blocks.
So let me ask you in a nutshell, like lipedema basically means like your fat cells are super activated. More.
Yeah, they're a whole. Well, actually, they kind of create a whole separate layer. Mm-hmm. So it's like you have the regular fat, then you have your fascia and your muscles, and then it also creates like what would look like cellulite. It creates dimples because the connective tissue, like, it gets stuck in the connective tissue. I saw last night a video from one of the gold standard ways to remove it, or the only way to actually remove it at this point is to have a particular type of liposuction performed by a lipedema specialist surgeon. And I saw they did an outtake of what they took out of one of the women, and it's usually women who are affected. It's very rarely men. And it was so disgusting. I don't like to see that kind of thing. Anyway, but it's like you see the fat, then you see like the fascia, then you see all these, and they're like little pearls. So little pearl, they could be like the size of rice, or like lentils, or like pearl. Like for me, in my arm, if you actually felt my arm, you could feel it feels like little beads of pearls. Or on my legs, it feels like little bumps. And so that, because the connective tissue is kind of impacted by having all this stuff, it kind of bumples. So so really, here, I don't know, I guess you guys, I shouldn't have done that. I don't know if you can see, this is my waist, this is my hips, right? I'm really,
well, they see a picture of you on the screen.
In my waist, I'm really like a size, I don't know, like a size 8. I'm sorry, I just messed up the camera, didn't I? I'm really like a size 8, and I probably have no cellulite. But if you go on my Curvy Girl Beth, that's not what you'll see. You'll see a lot of lumps and bumps.
Yeah, I remember it was so funny when you was first educating me on this disorder, and you was telling me. I remember you phrased it like you said, "Yeah, well, guys like girls with lipedema," and I was like, "That ain't true. Like, you know, that don't even sound right or whatever." And then well, you was like, "Well, they're shaped like me. They're pear-shaped women." And a lot of these women, they suffer from this. And then a light bulb immediately went off in my head, and I started thinking, like, man, do I like women with lymphedema too? Then,
I mean, it is, and certainly lipedema also comes in various body shapes. But I personally am the classic lipedema, classic. Yeah, and then the other form. So for me, the pain that I say that I don't really have. So I have it feels like tightness, like your skin feels like, if it's a day that I'm inflated, like the day that I ate a bagel, whatever. I feel like my calf the skin is going to explode, right? I feel like there's
how do you manage? Yeah. How do you manage the pain with this? Like, is it called a lymphedema flare up that you might have when you're having pain?
I think everybody does something different. I personally don't do anything. The next day I don't even or I go on my vibration plate, or I go in the water, or I go for a walk. I do whatever I have to do to move to get it flowing. Or people sit in Epsom salt baths with. Even they put hydrogen peroxide and baking soda to kick it up even further.
Let me ask you this, Beth, real quick. Is this disorder tied to your mood and your emotions? Like maybe if you're stressed out about something,
that's very interesting, because that was another piece. After we had our conversation the other day, I immediately, I'm in a myriad of lipedema groups. There's a lot of lipedema groups on Facebook, and then there are people that are popping up for awareness on Instagram as well. And I read this right after. There's a kind of a confessions kind of group, and one of the things is that people think that they're alone. They don't realize that there are other people that feel like this. Like the first time I ever went to a convention, there's an annual convention called through Fat Disorders Research Society, FDRS. The 2020 is going to be in April in Cleveland, Ohio. And the first time I went, I walked into the room and I was like, wow, whoever knew, especially for me living here in LA, whoever knew there were people that look like me, in droves. But one of the things is that people generally suffer in silence because they don't know. Nobody knows that this is what you're going through. The reason why you have all these trials and tribulations, most people that I know are constantly on a diet, constantly exercising, constantly doing something to change, and they can never change. So that plays a lot of head games for you. And so the thing that I saw right after we had our discussion was a woman was commiserating that her poor husband has to deal with her being constantly on a diet or doing some crazy treatment to try and figure out what and this is sort of, like her whole life before she knew she had this. And then she's like depressed because, one day she gained a pound, the next day she lost 2, the next day she's up 3, the next day she's down 4, the next day so by the end of the week, she's gained a half of a pound, right? She hasn't eaten anything. She's, but it's all because of how your body is just so affected on a daily basis. So I think that there's a lot of people that do suffer from depression because of it. And I think that it really does have an effect on the people around them. And then, because of always trying to, improve or whatever, I think that whole thing of like somebody is a different size, they're a different size constantly. I think that it's probably seen more in this population than in any other. And I think probably we have never known that. The yo-yo dieting, I bet you if somebody really did a study about that, I bet you would find a lot of people who are yo-yo dieters are people who have lipedema. Yeah, because it just doesn't respond. Maybe it responds because you lose your actual real fat, but then the rest of it doesn't respond. And so then, yeah, it's interesting.
Okay, good, man. I feel like we got a good educational piece on lipedema. This
So
time.
wait, I just want to say one last thing about pain. So the kind of pain that I have is like I have like joint pain or like I said, where it feels like the skin is going to explode, or it's just like this underlying like I can't even say it, like malaise. I don't know how to, like a low level of like constant pain. It's not to the touch, it's just there. And I just don't ever really realize it until I finally, like one day, like last night I was laying in bed and I was like, oh wow, like my legs hurt. Like, wow, those legs really hurt. But you got to keep it on, because what's the other alternative, right?
Yeah.
And try to biohack and figure out what works for you, what doesn't work for you, and then really like get around people who are like you. I have found that to be a lifesaver. And this, me growing my Instagram page came from me trying to get out there to create awareness, and it's just morphed into something completely different. And so, the modeling piece for me was something that I was doing kind of as an aside thing when I was right out of college, I guess maybe a little in college even. And it's just, so to me, it's not like some new thing that all of a sudden I'm doing. It's like something that's always been maybe around that I'm just coming back to, I guess you'd say.
What type of support groups out there for people who may suffer from this disorder?
A ton of online support groups, a ton. If you are interested, DM me on Instagram, or you could even find me just DM me on Instagram at Curvy Girl Beth. That's the easiest. I also have a Gmail. It's curvygirlbeth@gmail.com. You could send me a email there. And I can, help you to figure out which, it's overwhelming. I mean, literally, like I'm literally in 17 different groups. So depending where you're at and what you might want to, you got to start small. In my opinion, it's very overwhelming. It's a complete mind shift. Most people are completely mind blown. I personally, myself, I had been very strict in my nutrition. I had been gluten free for like 7 years. I had been exercising at the gym on a I don't know, at least 5 days a week. And then I got this diagnosis. And when I got the diagnosis, I actually flipped. And I was like, well, let's just prove that I can't eat anything. And so I decided that I was going to eat whatever I wanted. And so I have. And from my diagnosis until now, I think I'm up officially 30 pounds. So that's completely contrary to what anybody would have wanted. But it's also brought me to the place that I'm at, which is just you have to, wherever you're at, you have to accept yourself. And everybody has some kind of issue, right? You know, somebody, you know, their ear is too low, or their, you know, their eyebrow is, you know, they have half of an eyebrow, or, you know, they have a constant cough, or whatever it is. That some, you know, there's nobody that doesn't have something, right? That either they would like to improve, or that's some kind of burden to them. And I think that if we would just learn to love ourselves and to realize that we're all unique and we all have one, we all have something that we bring to the table, right, that makes us us. And if everybody would just start embracing that and loving that and accepting that, flaws, positives, whatever, and what they perceive, you know, what somebody perceives as a flaw is not a flaw to somebody else. Like, for instance, you know, I have a Curvy Girl Beth Instagram page. I have a nice following at this point, and I, you know, have a completely different way that I approach things. If you had, you know, somebody will say, oh, thunder thighs. Well, if you had told me thunder thighs 2 years ago, I would have been like, are you crazy? Like, why would you ever say that to someone? Now, I don't think of it that way. I think of it like, oh, right, okay, sure. You know, like, it doesn't have to be bad. And so I think that acceptance is really key. That is and if we would all stop trying to go for whatever we've been fed for our whole lives, whether it's from, you know, our family, our religion, our social circle, our educational circle, or the media, whatever. If we would all stop trying to chase that golden egg that is being presented to us, and we just accepted that we are who we are, and this is our moment, it's a completely different, you have a completely different experience. And I can say that from personal experience. It is completely different. If you're somebody who's out there who, you know, doesn't like how they look, and they think this is not, I think that one of the ways, because I bet you're somebody who doesn't feel like that's what you see. And for me, one of the ways that I actually started was I started taking pictures of myself, like, all the time, crazy, just for me to see. Didn't share them with anybody else. I take them in various stages, you know, in the bath, out of the bath, in the mirror, out of the mirror, you know, in the dressing room, with clothes on, with clothes off, with the, you know, any kind of way, you know, from the side, from the front, in the sunlight, in the, you know, whatever. But I was never used to seeing pictures of myself. I was somebody who actually would be in pictures, because there are people who would never be in pictures too, right? And I see that a lot on my lipedema groups. Like, nobody, they have an entire Facebook page for like 10 years. There's not one picture of them. That's ridiculous, people. That's just insane. We cannot continue like that. We can't. And especially as mothers, I'm a mother, we can't. We have to be in the game. What's going to happen when those kids look back on the pictures from the day at the park and their mother was never there? Baloney. She was there. If she was there, she should be in the picture.
Yeah, I feel you. But at the same time, you know, I do sympathize with them people, because we have like internet bullies, you know, cyber bullies that, you know, ridicule them people if they put their pictures up online.
But what I'm saying is to take the pictures for yourself. You don't need to post them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to post them. Even me. So I have taken more pictures in the past 6 months because of doing all the photo shoots and creating all the contact tint for Instagram and all that kind of stuff. And I have certainly looked at more pictures of myself ever that I've ever looked at in my whole life.
Is that
And
how you
I've been
built up your
somebody who's been in
confidence?
pictures, right? And it's a completely different mindset. And I'm not saying go to that extreme. It's different. But like even I, who is used to now kind of seeing myself on a regular basis, I think I have a fairly good understanding of what I actually look like. But I had seen, I have an artist friend who did a painting yesterday, or whatever, did a drawing of someone that was not me. And when it came across my screen, it was her naked from the back. And I was like, how did he get that picture of me? How did he do that? How did he draw that? Like, huh? And then I literally had to go and take a picture of myself in the same exact thing to be like, am I crazy? Do I really look like that? And then I took the picture, and then I was like, oh no, yeah, I'm good. I really do look like that. Like that really could be me. like, like, but I had to check myself to see, like, okay, am I crazy? Is that not, how is my self concept?
Yeah, self perception.
Yeah, yeah, and which is, that's huge. That is huge.
I feel you. So, how did you eventually break into the plus size modeling world, or decided that you wanted to become a plus size model? Was part of that taking pictures of yourself, building up your confidence? Was that part of it?
I think that I think that I had, um, I don't know. I think I had. I think because I've also not been on social media for a long time. I've only been on social media for about 3 years, and what I found was that for me, it was a great way to to actually see other people who look like myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was learning that there were other people out there, and then I was seeing what other people were doing, and then I was like, oh right, like yeah, like I should do that. And so I don't know, I did some modeling at the fat disorders conventions, and that was a great experience because I really felt like I could. I'm not somebody who I've always my degree is in marketing, minor in advertising, and concentration in fashion. So I've always been somebody who's been interested in makeup and fashion and girly stuff like that and looking good, and that's never, that's not an easy thing when you're a big girl. You have to, and when you have this shape, there's another thing. People don't have, I can't just walk into the store and buy something. People can walk in, they're a size 18. They walk in, they buy a pair of size 18 pants. I have to try on about 30 pants to find one pair of pants that might fit. And does it look how I want it to look? Um, so I have always had to constantly be on the search and on the look. And then I also have been somebody who never wanted to pay full price, and I was never a label person because I didn't have that luxury. I couldn't be, right? And so I think when I went for this fashion show, the premise was to show other women different ideas on how they might be able to dress with their body, since it might be similar to your body. And I was received so well at the first one that I went to that I realized, this is really like a like I can be of service to people, because I can actually help with that. I can say, look, you could look like me and still look good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think that was sort of what got the ball rolling. Um, it really started to take flight when in the summer. I'm from New York. I'm from Long Island, and I was home for 4th of July and went to a casting call, which then led to another casting call, which led to another something. It was just snowballed, and it just all kind of started from there to really have that as a focus.
Mm-hmm. Cool deal. So, what you got up and coming out there for the people who are interested in you as a plus size model? Because the fellas, they tuned in for that particular reason, but as well too, you wanted to spotlight about the disorder, the lipedema, that you got support groups going on, and I remember you telling me that's how you initially got into the posting your pictures and stuff like that online to be
right.
supportive towards that
That was how
disorder.
yeah. And so I have quite a, well, I don't know that I have quite, I have a growing following, and
How many followers you got on Instagram, Beth?
over 12,000 right now.
Over 12,000. And what's the growing rate? I remember maybe just a few days ago it was at 10,000, right?
Yeah, maybe 10 days ago.
Yeah, no, yeah, okay, yeah, because I remember it was like at 10,000, so you didn't call it like
Yeah,
2,000 subscribers since then, huh?
yeah, 2,000.
Cool deal, cool deal. Yeah, that's Curvy Girl Beth
So
on Instagram.
if you're looking at numbers, which I generally don't look at, I guess it's like about 200 a day, maybe.
Oh, okay, cool deal.
I don't know, but I think that initially I was there to help empower women because I really wanted to be the voice of lipedema and also the voice of like, come on, people, let's get our heads out of the clouds because we're fabulous, and let's just all start accepting the fact that we're fabulous, regardless of what our plight is. Move forward, like let's get it, and if everybody could learn that they're unique and accept that, we would live in such a completely different world, right? We would
True
be in
that.
a completely different world, and it would not be anything that was, we. I think that often leads to feeling less than, right? Um, so yeah, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on it, my take on it. But also the idea that you can you can change your thinking, right? You can change your expectation. You can change what you're doing, and turn things around.
Cool deal. So, what endeavors do you got coming up, Beth?
I am. Let's see. I did. I'm now reflecting on. I think it was about a year ago. I did a photo shoot for a plus size clothing line, and that was one of my beginning things too. Had totally forgotten about that. Um, I have done a couple of podcasts. I think now this is my third podcast. I'm part of a group called Everybody Deserves Love here in Los Angeles, and I will continue to do some work in advocacy with them. I was just recently. I don't know if you guys have all heard of Robert Reams. He is the head trainer and nutritionist for the Dr. Phil show for the past 18 seasons, I think. I was just on his podcast, and I will go back to talk with him again. I am looking at some other Plus Girl things that are coming up that are going to be out there in the media. I'm looking into working with some people like that. I'm looking into some sponsorships. Got some. One of the things I didn't talk about for lipedema is compression. It's important to wear compression to hold in the swelling. And working with a European company for their product.
They're going to design something special.
I guess different product placements. One of the t-shirt companies is sending me something. I'm thinking about maybe making my own t-shirt. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. So I don't know about that one. I'm not sure if people want to wear a picture of me on their shirt. So I'm not sure how that works.
Hey, you never know. I said you never know. Put the filler out there.
Right. Then, at the moment, I have not been doing, probably in the past month, I haven't been doing as many model submissions, but I'll continue that in the new year. So, all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
I think there's a Curvy convention coming in LA in March. I will definitely take place in that.
You got to give me the hookup on that, Beth.
Yeah.
I support them
Um,
curves.
what?
I said that's my type of spot. I support them curves. I'm like the number one
Right.
advocate. So
Right.
yeah, I need to be in the hizzle for shizzle.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yay
I
yay.
think even I think Kendra was even a part of that. I think
Oh
I saw
yeah,
something.
yeah. Shout out to Kendra, Sister Kendra. I'm gonna be doing an interview
Mhm.
coming up with Miss Kendra, celebrity photographer. Plus size consultant, plus size model, Kendra Sibley. Shout out to her.
Yeah. So and just kind of trying to get networking opportunities going. Collabs going. It's just that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Beth got an up and coming shoot with yours truly.
Yeah.
We're gonna be doing some work together right here in the near future after the holidays and stuff. So be looking forward to that, ladies and gentlemen,
Right.
as
Right.
well.
Right. I just did a little shoot at a open house for a new photo studio, a new location here in LA last week. That was fun. That was a fun shoot. They had some Teslas, a red classic car. They had Christmas trees. That was fun.
Cool deal.
Oh, airplane, an airplane set in a kind of a hangar structure. So, it's fun. It's really a creative endeavor as well, to constantly be coming up with content, and then maybe we'll see. Maybe if there's interest, maybe I'll do a little podcast on This Is Tree TV too.
Yeah,
We're calling to
we'll have Beth on my network, have her own little call-in show. Ladies
Yeah.
that maybe want to
So,
get more
so
educated.
I can't see you guys. I don't know who's on. I don't know if anybody's even tuned in. I could just be talking to myself.
No, no, no.
But anybody that's interested, hit them up. Let them know if you want me to come back.
Yeah,
And
when
what
we
should I talk about?
get your show together, we'll get you set up to where you'll be able to see and interact with the audience as well.
Excellent.
We'll have you like set up like this, but then we'll have like maybe an iPad or something like that. I got a couple of iPads over here.
Sure.
And then you'll be able to see and interact and be able to see yourself. Get a little bit more sophisticated on them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Technology
Excellent.
wise. Yay, yay.
All
So
right.
yeah, shout out to you, Miss Curvy Girl Beth. I appreciate you for coming up on Tree TV Radio. All the people that's tuning in right now, if you see on the top of the screen that's scrolling across, that's Beth's Instagram page right there. So follow Curvy Girl Beth on Instagram, and that's basically where you can stay up to date on all her endeavors. She goes live basically every day. Beth is dedicated to
At
going
least
live
once.
at least once a
Maybe.
day. So yeah, just tune in right there on her Instagram page. And any people got any questions for Kirby Girl Beth, send her a message. Hit her up. She's a very nice woman. You ain't got to be afraid to send her a friendly message if you got any questions about anything. Yay, yay. So yeah, shout out to you, Curvy Girl Beth. You got anything you want to say before we wrap up?
No, I want to say thanks for tuning in and thanks for having me on the show. And I look forward to future endeavors.
Most definitely. Yay, yay. So, yeah, shout out to the party people out there. Press the like button. Make sure you share this video. And hit up Curvy Girl Beth on Instagram. You are now tuned in to the number one media source, ladies and gentlemen. Tree TV Radio for BBW, SSBBW, and plus size women. We getting up out of here right now. Shout out to all the party people out there. Say bye-bye, Beth.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye.
Peace.